All right, it is 7:12 PM on Monday, December 4th, 2023, and we'll call to order the meeting of the Fairfield Library Board of Trustees. Our first item of business is any public comments. Don't believe we have any on the call. None in the room. Fantastic. All right, so we'll now move on to the approval of the minutes. Please take a moment to review attachment number 1 of the agenda, the minutes from our November meeting.
Yeah, just said that you had spoken about.
Yeah.
No, you just tell us there's.
Tell Lori. Hey, Lori. It's Jill. On number, item E, website redesign. It says a meeting took place last week and Ms. Brown and Mr. Jarvan
Feels good.
spoke at length with the companies. We actually didn't speak with the different vendors, prior to this past week now. So I just want to make sure that that's kind of deleted. We did have a meeting and we discussed the different, responses, but we did not meet with the companies.
So for item E, please remove the second sentence.
Yeah.
Thank you, Jim. Scott, I just realized we forgot to change the name of the bond thing.
Oh, did I?
Good. I missed it too, because I'm so used to seeing that one. So just make sure we adjust that. a little bit more. Are there any other amendments to the minutes from November's meeting? If not, then do we have a motion to approve?
Motion to approve the meeting minutes?
Do we have a second? All in favor? Anyone all opposed? And so it passed. The November meeting minutes have been approved with amendments per Jill's feedback. Next item of business is the chairman's report. First and foremost, today at the Board of Selectmen meeting, May Bayer's spot as a trustee has officially been confirmed. She was sworn in, so welcome, May, for what, the third or fourth time I think we're saying welcome to you now. No, we're very happy to have you. Very happy to have you as an official member of the board and to be working together. The other thing just to note is I know that as we've gone through the last month, we've gone through a change in administration here, and we talked about it last time, but as things continue to evolve in our town and administrations changes, for all of us to continue to be advocates for the library, budget planning and conversations. And Scott and I discussed meeting with the new first selectman at some point. So once we do, we'll share back with everyone. Yeah, the outcome of that, but we look forward to working with the first selectmen and all three selectmen as well as the rest of the government. So that is all I have for the chairman's report. I'll hand it over to Scott for library updates.
So I'm going to go quick over last month. We had a program on AI, which was a series. It's going to continue again. It's very, very popular. We've become a certified President's Volunteer Servicing organization. Kudos to Jen Laceman, our team librarian, for spearheading that initiative. This is a significant portion of our team volunteers are all. So we also want to
Scott, before you go past that one, can you just talk a little bit about the President's Volunteer Service Award?
It's just an award that's given for a certain amount of hours done with it. And it's a national recognized award, kind of like when we were young and we get one in the gym.
Yep.
Like the physical fitness award, so it's kind of like that. So,
Very cool.
yeah, we have so many teams who volunteer, it's pretty amazing.
That's
It
fantastic.
would be great to be able to recognize that. We had a Bluey party, you know, everybody knows who Bluey is.
If you
and we
don't
really-
watch, it's amazing.
It is amazing. That's one of my favorite breeds of dogs. That's awesome. November was late on incident reports, which was actually really nice. We did have one individual who exhibited concerning behavior. There was an incident report done. I reached out to the individual. They did not respond back. And then we had a patron who remained in the library after hours, which is normal for public, not normal for public libraries, but not unheard of. So we are going to, the safety committees can get together and talk about how we can change your closing a little or improve our closing procedures.
What happened? You found him the next morning?
No, the cops came. And yes, it's a whole other story we're not paying.
And
But he
we got
watched,
locked in the building.
well, we think he let himself be locked in the building. He watched the staff leave, he timed it perfectly. So that the staff left the building had enough time to get over to this mezzanine.
Yeah.
And just hung out there, I guess, because it was warm. And then I think got bored, tried to open the door. The door set off the alarm. And we didn't get calls, but DPW did, the cops came. There was a long conversation, so it was yes. So not unusual, we are changing, we have been noticing some issues with closing up, so we're gonna change that. Or we're gonna change our procedures. Stats real quick, monthly in-house desktop usage, which I know was a concern from the board. When we reported our annual report, is actually going up 28% compared to last year. So we are seeing, we were starting to see it, but we are seeing more in-house usage. I don't know if people, devices that got, over the course of the pandemic, maybe those devices are dying and they're not replacing them, or what's going on, but we're definitely seeing older patrons, but also younger patrons who are just saying coming here to play, games and stuff like that. We're getting more teenagers. But it's nice to see that go up. Operational notes, the library will actually be closed Saturday, December 23rd. That's the Saturday before Christmas Eve. It is just very hard to get people to work on this day. So we're really trying to work hard to be open on that day, but we just are, again, a lot of our staff are part-time and not everybody's going to sacrifice their Saturday before Christmas Eve to work their part-time job. We have implemented a lottery system for early childhood registration to ensure a more equitable and streamlined process for these highly sought after programs. The feedback has been both positive and negative. So you may hear out in the community, we've definitely been hearing some people more happy about this, but it's actually something that we went out to other libraries and said, how are you dealing with this, tons of registration and also no-shows, which we were seeing a lot of, and this was actually, we're following the model that Darren did. And it seems to have, again, there are parents who are unhappy because they're locked out of programs, but they seem to be, the programs themselves are going much smoother. And then to my special report, which is just to go over, we were asked to do our first run of the budget. So Jan and I sat down, and Frank, our budget manager for the town, was extremely helpful. We went through and we kind of did our asks. Again, we create this. Frank looks at it, then it goes to the select person's office. And this is like the draft before we go to the selectman's office. We also will be asking for additional staff like we have done in the previous 2 years, and that is still in the teen services librarian at Woods. The teen services can do both adult and teen hours or desks, so it really helps. And again, the next step is the selectmen's office. Just some highlights: an 11% increase at Maine, 25% increase at Woods. It's about a $3,000 ask. This is for programming. This is due to inflation costs and higher demand, specifically around early literacy programs. There was a 63% increase in children's program participation last year. Based on our wait lists and patron feedback, we expect that trend to continue. So the budget really just includes our increased costs of supplies for staffing programs and also the cost of when we bring presenters and programmers in. We are doing a 4% increase at Maine and a 4% increase at Woods, at about $25,000, which is about 4% for the material budget. 2% of this would be for an increase in children's material, which circulation was, there was more than 2%. There was a 2% increase in children's material circulation last year. Children's books are just high demand, or what's driving our physical circulation, and we can always purchase new books. And then the additional funds again would go back to digital material. Same story, high demand, very expensive. Until something's done at a state level, there's really not much we can do. We're leasing books. So we talked about it today in a meeting. It's really important. Instead of saying we're buying new books, we're actually leasing books and at really unfair terms. And then, hopefully some of you will be happy about this. We did ask for a $30,000 or 44% reduction in revenue in the fines line. We're soon to be one of the very few libraries in the state that have yet to go fine free. So we're kind of just talking to the town about this. We'd like to explore and do a pilot program around the elimination of library fines for children's material. Kind of start there and see how it goes from there. But it's really, there's talk that we're going to be a fine-free state soon. So I'd really like to not be the library that hangs that up. For anybody who wants to discuss the reason why libraries have gone for free, I'm more than happy to do that. More than happy to share all the data that's out there and all of the studies and articles that are out there why libraries go fine free. It did come from the fine. So,
Scott, real quick on that one.
Yeah.
Is there any issue with doing that as it relates to the town charter?
No, it's really the board sets fines and fees.
Okay. So that was one whole thing that we talked about previously. Part of what we were proposing as part of the town charter reform was putting the things in place so that we could move towards, because I know you and I have talked about it, as a board have talked about it, that that's the direction everything is trending towards. So why shouldn't we? And there was some issue with regards to revenue generating. It's just, well, it's partly because it's very outdated town charter at this point. So,
I mean, I'll be honest, this is probably the first lamb that gets slaughtered in this process. So, but I think it's good to start that conversation. My view, I had this conversation today with someone else, which is, you always introduce a new concept a year out, and mostly in the budget process, because then you have the opportunity to talk to the finance board, talk to the select, talk to the RTM, and give them something to think about. I'd be more than thrilled if this goes through and we can do this within the next year. But I think that we're taking this opportunity to have a conversation. And if it goes quickly, that's great. But I think it's something that I think this is a good time to do that. I think with some of the new members who've been elected, not just within the selectmen's board, but also at the RTM level, I think it will be hard to finance board. But again, it's always a hard conversation there. But I do think this is worth at least having that conversation, educate everybody involved in local government, about this, what's going on.
Is 30,000 the amount that comes from children's material fund?
No, I think we kind of made a guess at it, just to kind of, I think it's probably a little more, but I think that's a good number. I think 44%.
Great.
And then Our Q1 report, Jan. An excellent job on it. Do you want to cover that at all?
Well,
She throws things from Rob.
we presented the data in two different ways here. We have the graphs and numbers, and then we have the narrative as well. It's the same information, just presented in a different way. For me, the most stunning thing that jumps out from this is the increase in teen attendance at programs over last year at that first quarter. Over 100% increase in the number of teens attending programs, which we think directly points to the need for an additional teen librarian at Woods. Everything is pretty much up. A few things are down or stable, probably due to staffing shortages during that first quarter. We had 2 full-time vacant positions. Circulation is up. Door count is up, so we're heading in the right direction more.
That's amazing. No, it really is. I think, do we, and just out of curiosity, is there a breakdown in between the increases of program attendance? Is it broken down by Woods versus Maine?
Yes,
Just trying to build the narrative around why we need
where is
why it
that?
makes sense to have a more thinking around the team services aspect.
I don't see that is in this
That's
report,
fine. I think it
but we do
it
have
very
that.
much speaks to it. I think there's a certain aspect of it as well, just to have that back pocket, to show that continuing to drive engagement and
Business
issues.
right.
Yeah, 129%, that's insane. It really is.
Yeah, most of that is, I mean, there's been an increase here as well, but a huge increase. at Woods.
Yeah, and something for us to think about as we discuss next steps for building.
You know, the numbers look good. We actually expected softer numbers because we were down so many staff. I mean, in that quarter, we were down 3 staff members for,
Well, 2 full-time and then some part-time as well.
so, and you see it a little bit in the adult numbers, but for the most part, we're pretty impressed that we still did as well because we did reduce some program offerings in both adult and children. So it's pretty amazing. We were nervous with, Tamara was very cognizant of how her numbers looked. She was actually pleasantly surprised.
That's great. That is really, really amazing. Oh, fantastic.
And the attention clinic, the library will be closed Thursday. If you need a library card or special assistance, please come to the circulation desk now. Just a reminder, the Wi-Fi will shut down in 15 minutes at 7:45.
All right then. Everyone, keep that in mind. All right, anything else with the library updates?
No, we're good.
All right.
Oh, looking ahead.
Oh, yes.
When is the one town announcement?
January 11th, that's the new date, right? Yeah. Thursday, January 11th at 10:30 in the periodical structure. Be there. Plan on it.
Be square.
Yes.
We're going to do for Bob itself.
March 5th is the author visit.
Okay.
Mark the calendar for that one as
How
well.
has that going?
Really smooth.
Right. I remember there were some rough patches this past year with some of the partners.
Yeah, we Philip and Jen did a really good job of streamlining book selection where there were some issues last year and it took a while to do. And we broke up the community into book selection, which is done, and now it's marketing and the program itself. And we have some partners on there. I did reach out to the directors of all the organizations that are associated with local one counties that the cost of being a sponsor is to provide a staff member, so there's been more engagement, and I think it's gone a lot smoother. So we're more excited.
Great. And the events is, we're planning on, it's a Sacred Heart this year.
No, we're gonna actually do it virtually in person.
We're expecting a
A lot.
big crowd. Yeah, wouldn't fit over there.
Ooh la la.
Yeah.
Nice space. Nice space.
It's a great space. So, it's just gonna be a good name, huh?
It's good, yeah. It's good. Ball.
That's great. That is great. All right. All right, then, with that, we will move on to our committee updates. Space planning, Chris, you got anything to share?
Hey,
Yeah.
Andrew, nothing to share. Hey, nothing to share right now, but
All right. Thank you. Fundraising committee, Peter? Uh-oh, you're muted. Gonna minimize the solitaire game. There we go. Peter, any updates with regards to the the fundraising committee?
And I suspect that's what Scott just talked about in terms of a meeting.
Yep.
Is that it, Scott?
So we'll,
That's it.
Anyway, my update is that Scott sent me an email, which I have not received as yet, inviting me to a meeting.
He's circling it.
And we will have that meeting as soon as Scott and the other participants decide that we are going to have the meeting. So until then, that's my report.
all righty.
But we will report next month about the meeting if we have it.
Sounds good.
I think I just lost you again. Did I lose you again? No. Okay.
Thank you, Peter.
Can we go to Zoom?
Is the the building committee, which we've mislabeled as the ad hoc bond committee, which we voted on last month. No updates from that meeting. We we haven't had any follow-ups to date from that. So that is all to say for this one, but we'll continue to push forward with that. Probably post, I think some of the stuff, the RFP will take some learnings from that. I know, Scott, you and I talked about, you've met some, what was the event you were at, or the conference you
So
were
I
at?
went to the Connecticut Conference of Municipalities, yes, CCM, and their flourishing, had a lot of architects that want to work with libraries. So it was cool. That's how I work. So, had a really interesting conversation with one firm, because, they now understand our issue with, or how's it organized programs, and they're like, oh, well, that's it. It's like, and reducing their collection. I go, well, the other problem is our circulation is like where it was before the pandemic. And they're like, oh, I'm like, we can't sacrifice one for the other. So they were definitely an interesting conversation.
I'm sure we're not alone in that, though. Circulation is up. Yes.
We'll see.
Yeah.
Interesting. But yeah, I think that's one of the follow-ups we should have just a conversation as a committee of what you've learned, kind of talk some next steps with regards to
And we
that.
have all the plans and prior stuff sitting in my house.
Fantastic. Great. Great. So with that, we'll hand it over to the Friends of the Library update.
Hi, I'm Helen Vanzo. I'm sitting in for Donna tonight, and just going to tell you that we have, on January 4th, we have an opening for our new art exhibition. We're having a book sale at the Shop and Stroll. Scott has kindly offered to help us with the event. On the 6th, And we're working on a date for mini golf. And, oh yeah, the name of the opening on January, putting the pieces together.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. All right, then on to the website redesign.
As I just mentioned briefly, Scott, I, and Mary, actually, had reviewed the lovely RFPs that we had gotten. We did a little bit of research into the different sites, that they've actually recently created, or recently created for libraries. We decided that it's probably a good idea for us to meet, with what we consider to be the two finalists, WebLinks Inc. and Sterling Brandworks. One is out of Illinois and one is out of Winchester, Massachusetts. We had Zooms with, with both. And it's funny, I came away initially from Sterling. They were very polished, they were a little bit more money, clearly paying for the polish, but they did a really great presentation with us at the time, talked through a lot of our needs and wants and desires. And Mary was great in talking about the back end side of it and the ease of use and being able to do updates and things. And I was pretty much like, oh, it's got to be done. And then we met with WebLinks and we started feeling the similar way because they also seem to have a lot of great back end support. But both are very diversified in terms of their types of websites, the type of content that's provided, large libraries, small libraries. Some sites are a little bit wonky and kind of, well, expect them to be doing that, but we also looked at populations and numbers of those libraries. So now Mary, I, and Scott have to meet over the next week or so and kind of land on where we think we should go and then make the recommendation ultimately to the board.
Fantastic.
But I think we'll probably end up giving them samples and examples so you guys can kind of prove it as well.
Perfect.
Make sure we're moving in the right direction. But yeah, really, really great. Really, I think we're really excited about it. Yeah.
Great.
Yeah.
Thank you, Joe. Wonderful work. Thank you for the partnership with the library as well, like with the staff here as well.
Yeah. Okay.
Great, great work. All right. With that, I'll hand it over to Aaron for the treasurer's report.
Hi, everyone. Not too much of an update this month compared to last month. The positive news is that because of the market performance in November, positive market month, the endowment grew to about 8.7 million, about 600,000 compared to the end of October. So good news there. Compared to the beginning of the year, we're up about $1 million in the total funds held in Vanguard. And that's all I have for today.
Is that supposed to be end of 2022
Let's see.
or end of October?
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, end of 22.
Yeah.
It's a typo, right? Okay. I wasn't sure if you're reading October or whatever.
It is.
Wow,
I'm in
change.
24 budgeting at work, and I think I've got everything jumbled. But end of 22.
Get it that time of year where no one remembers what year it is.
We were at lights the other night, it was like 2024, I'm like, we're already in 2024. I don't know how much it's gonna be. Our friend who was with us, who does something similar to what I do, is just like, it's because you're doing your 2025 budget.
Budget, yeah.
It's gonna be 2025. Like, oh, God.
Yeah. Exactly. All right. All right, thank you, Aaron. Moving into new business, only one item I have to share is that Jill has submitted a resignation from the board. Unfortunately, we've had some discussions around this, and we're very sad to be losing you, Jill, as a member of the board for all of your work that you've done through the book challenge, which was we all were working on the fly, but you were extremely helpful in feeling through that process and really bringing us to a place where we maintain the integrity and the independence of the library. So I really do appreciate that. Everything you've done with the website, and just as a trustee, general, your input, your involvement, your engagement in every meeting. I really do appreciate that. And want to extend, obviously, heartiest thanks myself and the rest of the board. Scott and Jan, pardon if we
I know, I
sad,
saw when I came in, I was like,
sad to be losing you. Obviously, this does mean that we will have an opening that will be for Jill's term. Just so everyone's clear, it will be a term from whenever we fill it to, what years ago? To June of 25. So we'll be filling up, I believe that term will be open for, potentially for, somebody wants to do this for 7.5 years, potentially. Unless we get a charter reform before that. But Jill, I do want to just open to you to say if you have anything you want to say or,
Yeah. Well, of course I wrote something because I'm just a dork and I'm a producer, so I pre-prepare. And what I'm about to say is really from the heart for all of you. So it's a bit bittersweet, right? But I really loved every minute of serving on this board. It's such an active board, and that's what I absolutely love about it. I actually realize I'm going into my 5th year, so I don't feel as horrible as I think if I did when, just starting out kind of thing. But I've seen some really welcome changes here, most largely Scott, the hiring of Scott, which I was thankful to be a part of, which has been a really huge addition to the amazing staff here. As you all know, boards that I've been on, first in Philadelphia, and then this one here has been major influencers on my personal decision to go into librarianship and develop a career in one. Having some amazing mentors like Christina, our former board member, and folks like Scott, to kind of set the example of what it means to be a dedicated, service-minded leader. At what I consider to be, and I've always said this, I find the last real example of a free democratic institution for all, public library. It's really what shaped my decision to go into librarianship. As I graduated this year, you guys were all on that journey with me, and I started my job search. I've experienced some very real ups and downs and some aha moments during my application process. And on a few occasions, including when I applied for various positions, my being on this board apparently presented some challenges for folks hiring me, unfortunately. I'm still trying to kind of wrap my head around and understand what those reasons are. But being on this board ended up ultimately being a bit of a detriment to my launching my library career, and that's part of the reason why I chose to resign. As this is my livelihood, I need to allow myself to be able to kind of be unfettered as I start to join this career. Resigning from the board is what I needed to do. I've secured local work. I'm a substitute librarian now at Case Memorial Library in Orange, which I'm very excited about. They're really, really lovely people. And I'm also going to be likely commuting out of state to be director at a small private library up in Cape, which I'm really excited about. My mother's also aging. She just had hip surgery, which Scott's aware of, and I've become her primary caregiver. And it looks like we're going to probably having to commit to her moving in with us on a full-time basis as her caregiver. So we're kind of in a bit of a transition with that right now in our lives, because as you guys know, she also lives in Cape Cod. So that's a big change. I just want to thank Scott, Jan, Mary, Philip, Nancy, and the rest of the staff for all the work you do. And how you've all been a major influence on me. And I feel so lucky to have served as a trustee on this board. I also appreciate them and their work and serving our community even more now as I start my own personal journey into this career. I also thank the members of the board for their time and dedication, because I think it's a terrific board and we're so blessed in our town to have such a great board. And I wish you all the best as you work together to help secure a bright future for the public library in our community. Thank you so much from the bottom of my heart.
Thank you, Jill. Very wonderful words. And obviously, best of luck with every great new board, Cape Cod.
Yeah.
Definitely be wanting to hear everything as you
Yes.
go through this. It's, we spend enough time with people.
Yeah.
Want to continue to hear how the journey goes, especially since it is in our
Yeah.
so no, thank you, Jill.
And of course, I'm always here as a community member and a support, and going to continue till, you know, we kind of finish up the year, helping Scott and Mary through, you know, getting the agency selected so they can get the work going. So, yeah, really good. I'm really excited
Great, I
about it.
appreciate it. Yeah, it's wonderful, wonderful work you've been doing and laying fantastic groundwork for our board, and the whole, pretty much RFP. I think you've set a very, very high bar for us. So thank you.
Appreciate the opportunity.
All right, feels like that should be closing. We do have old business to address. Last meeting, we discussed the privacy and confidentiality of library records policy, and there was some back and forth with legal. So if everyone could take a few minutes to review the policy that's in here as attachment number 4. Oh, the internet went out. Now it's saying you can't preview the file. So take a few minutes just to review, and then we'll if there's any questions, please do raise them. Sorry, it's Scott. This legal review was on the 7th. There were
The town attorney, former town attorney. Gemini, we're behind.
Gemini, but
So, yeah, so the town attorney reviewed it, boards reviewed it. This was actually, we formed a staff committee to kind of go over, we're lucky, I think, like 3 of our staff members have JDs. So, we had a really good committee. So, you know, I think this looks really good. It's actually, I want to go with policies moving in the future. It's more of an inward looking document. I think libraries get tripped up and want to have an outward looking document. So that we can just hand a piece of paper to the public and say, here you go. For this, we actually had our staff in mind. So it's easy for our staff to understand and enforce and then explain to the public. My joke is always, you know, I worked in a library, if someone opened up a whole lunch with chicken and raisin, it looked delicious. And I looked over and said, excuse me, sir, you can't eat at the library. And he goes, well, I don't see a sign and then like that. And I go, I am this. And he goes, oh, and he packed everything up and he went. So it's with the idea of, and I jokingly say this all the time with my staff, is we are the sign. We wear the name.
The library.
We make ourselves present. So this is the idea of, this is for the public to understand, but really it's written with the staff and the staff's understanding
great.
of the policy so that they can go and explain it.
Great. And the other thing to just said it before, but continue to say is that if anybody ever asks, this has always been our, you know, policy. This is not a new policy was not, we didn't have controls in this space. This is just using it, putting it as a policy to memorialize it.
And also getting the town to recognize it is,
Yes.
it is technically a policy of the town.
Scott, the only thing from a consistency perspective, the final bullet, library should be capitalized.
Okay. We can always change that post vote. You can always change the policy by copy. You can always do copy editing.
Okay.
As long as you don't change the meaning.
The power.
Whatever the update is, yeah. All right. Any questions? Any feedback on the policy? That's the blue first. Oh, any feedback? Peter, Aaron, Chris?
No.
That's when it comes to the time of who wants to make the motion?
I'll make a motion to pass the privacy and confidentiality of library records policy.
I'll second that.
Thank you, Chris. All in favor?
Aye.
So the privacy and confidentiality of library records policy has been approved. With that, we reach the end of our agenda. And as always, Megan, want to do the honors?
I'll second the motion.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
All right, unanimous. All right, so at that point, we are adjourned at 7:53 PM. Thank you, everyone, for your time today, and we'll meet again next month.